Welcome to the Blanco Wellness Podcast. Thank you for being here. Take a breath, and let's spend today's episode with the teacher that appears more often than any other in Taoist philosophy. Not a king, not a warrior, not a great scholar. Water. It seems like an unusual choice for wisdom's primary symbol. Water is soft. It yields to everything, takes the shape of whatever contains it, offers no resistance when you press your hand into it. It does not dominate or impose, it does not announce itself, and yet the Tao Te Ching returns to water again and again as the closest visible demonstration of how a genuinely intelligent life moves through the world, because water, over time, does what nothing harder can. It shapes mountains, it carves canyons from solid stone. It finds passage through barriers that appear completely sealed, not through force, but through patient, persistent, adaptive movement that works with the nature of things rather than against it. The Taoists were not being poetic when they held up water as a model. They were being precise. Think about the way most people are taught to move through difficulty. Push harder, apply more force, increase the effort. The assumption underneath most conventional advice about achieving anything is that resistance is the primary virtue, that what separates success from failure is the willingness to press more firmly against whatever is resisting you. Water demonstrates something different. A river encounters a rock and does not press harder against the rock. It explores the available space, finds the path that is actually open, moves through it, and continues. The rock is not the enemy. The rock is simply part of the landscape. And the landscape is something to be navigated rather than defeated. There is a story of a man who fell into a powerful river with a strong current. The people watching from the bank expected the worst. Yet he emerged downstream, unhurt, having survived conditions that should by all appearances have been fatal. When asked how, his answer was not what anyone expected. He said, "I stopped fighting the water. When the current took me down, I went down. When it pushed me sideways, I moved sideways. When it finally released me toward the surface, I rose." He survived not because he overcame the river, but because he stopped insisting that the river should behave differently from how it was behaving. He accepted the actual conditions and worked within them, rather than exhausting himself in an argument with them that he was never going to win. This is closer than it might initially seem to the situation many people find themselves in when life does not unfold according to plan. Think about a difficult situation from your own experience. A relationship that ended badly, a period of genuine struggle, something that arrived completely contrary to what you had hoped for. How much of the suffering came from the situation itself, and how much came from the sustained argument with the fact that the situation existed? Not the work of addressing it, not the genuine grief of what was lost, but the specific, exhausting insistence that this should not be happening, that reality should have arranged itself otherwise, that the current should not be flowing in this direction. The argument with the current, the fighting of what cannot be fought, is often considerably more costly than the current itself. The Buddhist teaching on this is direct. Pain belongs to life, and no wisdom removes it. Loss hurts. Disappointment hurts. The ending of something that mattered hurts. These are honest responses to genuine difficulty, and they deserve honest acknowledgement. What the teaching is pointing at is the additional layer, the suffering generated not by the wound itself, but by the sustained refusal to accept that the wound has occurred. The first arrow lands, and it causes real pain. The second arrow is the prolonged argument with the reality of the first arrows having landed. And that argument tends to cost more and take longer and produce more damage than the original wound. Water never argues with the landscape. This is not indifference. Water is one of the most persistently active forces in nature, continuously engaged with everything in its path. But the engagement is responsive rather than combative. It works with what is actually there rather than with what it wishes were there. This is what the Taoists meant by acceptance, not resignation, not the withdrawal of effort, not the abandonment of genuine desires. Acceptance as the honest starting point. This is where I am. This is what is actually here. And from this actual starting point, rather than from the wished-for one, what is available? There is a quality of humility in water that the Taoists found instructive in a way that went against the grain of most conventional ambition. Water naturally flows to the lowest places, the valleys, the hollows, the ground that others consider unimportant. Yet from those low places, it nourishes everything. Laozi observed this and found in it a model for the genuine strength that does not require constant recognition, the confidence that does not depend on constant validation, the kind of presence in the world that does not announce itself loudly and yet is, in the end, what everything else depends on. Think about the people in your own life who have had the most genuine influence on you. Very rarely are they the ones who fought hardest to be noticed. More often, they are the ones who are simply, quietly, reliably there. Like water, present and sustaining, without requiring that their presence be continually remarked upon. And then there is what water teaches about patience, which may be the most practically useful lesson of all. A river does not carve a canyon in a week. The stone that has stood for centuries does not yield to a single season of flow, but yield it eventually does, because the river remains. Day after day, year after year, across geological time, the same water continues its quiet work, and what appears unmovable from inside any single moment is, from the wider view, already in the process of being shaped. Much of what matters most in a human life develops on this timescale, not through a single dramatic effort, but through the accumulated effect of small, consistent, faithful engagement. Healing does not arrive all at once. Trust between two people builds slowly. Understanding of yourself deepens across decades rather than in revelations. Patience is not the passive waiting for something to happen. It is the active, steady, continuous tending of conditions, the ongoing showing up, that allows things to develop at the pace they actually develop. The Tao Te Ching says, "Nothing is softer than water, yet nothing can resist it." The statement sounds like a paradox until you have watched water long enough. Then it sounds like a description of the most reliable truth in the natural world. As we close today, carry one question with you. Where in your life are you currently fighting the river, pushing against a current that is not moving in the direction you insist upon, exhausting yourself in an argument with circumstances that have their own momentum? Not where you should abandon your genuine effort or stop caring about what matters to you. But where might you become a little more like water? More willing to find the path that is actually open, more patient with the pace that things actually move at, more trusting that consistent, adaptive, unhurried movement will, in time, take you where you genuinely need to go. Life is not always asking you to push harder. Sometimes it is asking you to flow more wisely. Thank you for being here with me today. Until next time, be well.